Have you ever made a small mistake that haunted you years later? As we grow older, every decision, big or small, seems to echo a little louder. The habits we hold on to, the things we avoid, and the way we treat ourselves all have a way of building up over time. What seemed like a harmless choice in our 50s or 60s may slowly influence our happiness in our later years. In this video, we'll talk about 8 surprisingly common mistakes many seniors make without realizing how damaging they can be. These aren't the obvious mistakes everyone talks about. They're the hidden habits and overlooked decisions that gradually wear away at your well-being, relationships, and peace of mind. Stick with me until the end, because recognizing even just one of these could save you from years of regret and help you build a stronger, happier future. Let's dive in. Number 1, neglecting social connections. One of the most damaging mistakes older adults often make, sometimes without even noticing, is letting their social world quietly shrink. When retirement comes, kids move away, friends pass on, or they become less mobile. The once busy calendar begins to empty. What starts as a few quiet weekends can gradually turn into weeks of solitude, then months of emotional withdrawal. And here's the catch. Many seniors don't even realize it's happening until loneliness has already taken hold. Loneliness isn't just a feeling, it's a serious health risk. Studies have shown that chronic loneliness can increase the risk of cognitive decline, heart disease, depression, and even early death. Yet it often starts with something as small as skipping a gathering or not returning a phone call. There's no one moment that says, you're becoming isolated. It just creeps in, disguised as rest or independence. When you stop reaching out and let routines replace relationships, you start to lose the invisible threads that hold your emotional world together. Humans are wired for connection no matter our age. Contrary to the old belief that friendships are only for the young, meaningful connections are more important than ever in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Take Walter, for example. He's 82 and used to spend his weekends playing cards with his neighbors. After a minor fall, he stopped attending for just a few weeks. Those weeks stretched into months, and soon his phone stopped ringing. He told himself he liked the peace and quiet, but in truth, he missed the laughter, the teasing, and the simple joy of being remembered. He wasn't unhappy exactly, but he wasn't fully alive either. You don't need a crowd. Sometimes just one phone call, a weekly lunch, or a book club meeting can make all the difference. And often, the bravest thing isn't facing physical illness. It's picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, I was thinking about you." There's no age limit on friendship and no expiration date on the need to feel seen, heard, and valued. If you've pulled back from people, not by choice, but by habit, it's never too late to step forward again. Because when we stop connecting, we don't just lose others, we lose parts of ourselves. Number 2, ignoring physical health until it's too late. Another mistake that quietly steals joy and independence from older adults is treating health as something to think about later. Too many seniors wait until a crisis forces them to act, but by that point, the damage is often already done. Skipping annual checkups, avoiding screenings, or dismissing small aches as just normal for my age can turn manageable conditions into life-altering ones. How many times have you heard a friend say, "I wish I had gone to the doctor sooner"? A simple knee pain can lead to limited mobility. A little shortness of breath could signal heart trouble. Neglecting dental health might result in infections that affect not just your mouth, but your whole body. These issues rarely explode overnight. They build up slowly, often silently. By the time they demand attention, it can be much harder to fix. But beyond the doctor's office, it's the small daily choices that make a difference. Seniors who stay active, eat nourishing foods, and prioritize sleep often find themselves not just feeling healthier but more alive. It's not about trying to look young again. It's about giving yourself the best chance to maintain strength, balance, and energy for the years ahead. Take Susan, for example, a 74-year-old woman who ignored her doctor's advice to stay active. She felt fine, so why bother? But over time, her muscles weakened, her balance worsened, and one day a simple trip over the edge of a rug left her with a broken hip. The road to recovery was long and painful, and she often said she wished she had listened sooner. Her story is not uncommon. It's one of the most frequent challenges seniors face. Taking care of your health doesn't mean living in fear of getting sick. It means respecting your body enough to notice the signals it sends and responding with care rather than denial. A brisk walk every day, staying hydrated, doing light stretching, and keeping up with regular screenings aren't luxuries. They're investments in your freedom to live the way you want. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend subscribing and turning on the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Your support helps us keep creating helpful content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move on. Number 3, holding on to grudges from the past. One of the most underestimated mistakes that quietly poisons your peace in old age is carrying unresolved anger or resentment into your later years. Maybe it's a betrayal that never got closure, a harsh word from a sibling that still stings, or a misunderstanding that drove a wedge between you and someone you once loved. The specifics vary, but the result is the same bitterness that lingers long after the event is over. Many people assume that as we age, we automatically gain wisdom and peace. But the truth is, time doesn't heal all wounds, not unless we choose to let them go. What time does do is give us more years to carry the weight of that pain if we refuse to release it. And make no mistake, holding on to old pain is exhausting. It eats away at your joy, clouds your ability to enjoy the present, and can even make your body feel heavier and more tired, as if the anger has settled into your bones. There's an old saying that goes, holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. And it's true. The person who hurt you may have moved on. They may not even remember what they said or did. But every time you replay that moment in your head, your body feels it too. It raises your blood pressure, tightens your muscles, and pulls you away from the life happening right in front of you. Take Frank, for example. He's a 78-year-old retired school principal who hadn't spoken to his brother in over 30 years. The feud started over a dispute about an inheritance, and it spiraled into years of silence. Every Thanksgiving, Frank would say, "He knows where I live." But deep down, he was the one suffering, not because of the disagreement, but because of the pride that kept the door closed. In his quiet moments, he often wondered what might have happened if he had just picked up the phone. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending the hurt never happened. It doesn't mean you agree with what was done to you. It means deciding that your peace of mind is more important than being right, that your remaining years are too precious to spend looking backward. You don't have to tell them, and you don't even have to speak to them again. But you can choose right now to let go of that weight, to stop allowing that pain to take up space in your heart. When you do, you open the door to peace, lightness, and freedom. You may not even realize how much you were missing. And you deserve that kind of freedom, not someday, but today. Number 4, living without a sense of purpose. One mistake that leaves many older adults feeling restless and disconnected is letting go of purpose after retirement. When the job ends, the kids are grown, and the daily routine loosens up, it's easy to fall into a rhythm that feels peaceful at first. But over time, it can start to feel empty. Purpose isn't just something for the young or ambitious. It's the fuel that keeps your days meaningful, your heart engaged, and your spirit alive. No matter your age, without purpose, your days begin to blend together. Morning routines become automatic. Evenings stretch out long and uneventful. And while rest is essential, too much of it can begin to feel like you're waiting, not really living. The joy of waking up with something to look forward to, something that matters to you, is one of the most powerful indicators of emotional well-being in later life. Many seniors think purpose has to be something big, volunteering at every event, writing a memoir, traveling the world. But true purpose often lies in the small moments. Teaching your grandson how to plant tomatoes, visiting the neighbor who lives alone, organizing photos from a lifetime of memories, or sharing stories that pass on wisdom to future generations. The question isn't, what do I have to do? It's, what makes me feel needed, useful, and alive? Take Helen, for example. She's 76 years old and still finds joy in the little things. After retiring from her job as a librarian, Helen spent months drifting. Her days were filled with television and quiet lunches alone. She told herself she was just resting, but deep down something felt missing. Then one day a neighbor mentioned a local reading program for children. Helen signed up thinking it would be something to pass the time. What she found, however, was a renewed sense of energy, joy, and connection. Those 30 minutes of reading each week brought color back into her life. We all need to feel that we matter, that our presence makes a difference, that we're still building something, not just looking back. When you find that thread, whether it's creating, giving, mentoring, or simply showing up, you rediscover a sense of direction that no retirement clock can take away. Purpose doesn't have to be grand to be meaningful. It just has to be yours. And when you claim it, life shifts from being about counting the days to making each one count. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend subscribing and turning on the bell so you don't miss any future videos. Your support helps us keep creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move on. Number 5, refusing to ask for help when you need it. There's a quiet kind of suffering many older adults endure, not because of physical pain or financial hardship, but because of pride. One of the most common yet unspoken mistakes in later life is refusing to ask for help, even when it's desperately needed. Somewhere along the way, we've been taught that independence is the ultimate sign of strength. And while independence is wonderful, isolation disguised as independence can slowly lead to unnecessary hardship. Many seniors would rather struggle in silence than admit they're having a hard time. Whether it's trouble reaching something on a high shelf, managing medications, navigating technology, or even dealing with grief or depression, there's often a quiet fear that asking for help means admitting weakness. But in reality, asking for help is one of the bravest things you can do. It's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you care enough about your well-being to take action. Let me tell you about George, a 79-year-old man who lived alone after his wife passed away. He prided himself on being self-sufficient. But over time, he started missing meals, forgetting to pay bills, and ignoring messages from his doctor's office. His daughter didn't find out until months later, when she visited and discovered piles of unopened mail. George didn't want to be a burden. He didn't want to admit that grief had taken a toll on him or that daily tasks had become overwhelming. But when he finally allowed others to step in, his world started to open up again. Asking for help doesn't mean giving up control. In fact, it's often the very thing that lets you maintain control over your life. It means recognizing that life is not meant to be lived entirely alone. We are built for community, for mutual support, not silent endurance. It could be as simple as asking a neighbor to help set up a phone, telling your family you need more check-ins, or reaching out to a counselor or support group when you feel overwhelmed. These aren't signs of weakness. They are signs of wisdom. We all want to feel capable, and we all want to be seen as strong. But the strongest people are the ones who know when to reach out, not just for themselves, but so they can continue showing up for others too. Because life isn't just about how long we can go without help. It's about how well we can live when we embrace it. Number 6, dwelling on the good old days and rejecting the present. A surprisingly harmful habit that sneaks into many people's later years is holding so tightly to the past that the present becomes something to resent instead of embrace. It often starts innocently enough, remembering old songs, talking about how things used to be, sharing stories from younger years. There's nothing wrong with nostalgia. In fact, cherished memories can be a source of comfort. But when those memories become the lens through which we see everything today, it can leave us stuck, bitter about what's changed, blind to what's still beautiful, and disconnected from the life unfolding right now. You've probably heard phrases like, "things were better back then," or "nothing's the same anymore." And while some of that might feel true, getting lost in those thoughts too often can rob you of joy in the present moment. Let's talk about Martha, who is 81. She often told her friends, "Back when I was young, people had manners. These days, no one respects anything." Over time, she became more withdrawn, convinced that the world no longer had a place for her values. She stopped going to community events, avoided younger neighbors, and spent more time alone. But what she didn't realize was that her need for connection hadn't changed. The world had simply evolved, and she had chosen to stand still. There's a certain sadness that grows when we keep comparing the present to the past. This sadness can build a wall between us and the people who still want to connect with us, especially younger generations. When you remain open to new music, technology, and ideas, you don't just keep your mind sharp, you keep your heart soft. No one is asking you to forget the past. Those memories are treasures. But they shouldn't be the only thing that gives your life meaning. There are still sunrises to watch, friends to laugh with, new recipes to try, books to read, jokes to hear, and lessons to learn. The world may feel different than it used to, but you still have a place in it. You're not a guest in the present. You are an active, living part of it. And when you embrace today, not just to endure it, but to explore it, you'll realize that purpose and connection don't have an expiration date. If you're still watching and finding this video valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing and turning on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating great content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 7, letting fear dictate your decisions. As we grow older, it's natural to become more cautious. We've lived long enough to know what can go wrong, and we carry those lessons with us. But one of the most damaging mistakes seniors can make is allowing fear, rather than wisdom, to guide their decisions. Fear of change, fear of getting hurt. While a little caution is healthy, too much of it can quietly build a cage around your life. It often begins with small things: declining an invitation to an event because you don't know many people there, avoiding a new hobby because you're unsure you'll be good at it, staying home instead of traveling because you worry about discomfort or inconvenience, or avoiding conversations about your finances or health because you're afraid of what you might hear. Over time, these little avoidances grow into patterns, and before you know it, fear is making decisions you never agreed to. Fear itself isn't the enemy. It's a signal, something to pay attention to. But when fear starts deciding where you go, what you try, and who you let into your life, it no longer protects you. It robs you. Fear takes away the very things that make life meaningful: growth, excitement, connection, and the satisfaction of overcoming challenges. Take Harold, for example. He's 72 and always wanted to paint, but he never picked up a brush. He told himself he was too old to start, and that real artists begin young. The truth was he was simply afraid. Afraid he'd look silly, afraid his work wouldn't be good enough. It wasn't until his granddaughter gave him a watercolor set for his birthday and said, "I want you to paint with me," that he finally found the courage to try. What he discovered wasn't mastery or fame. It was joy. Fear wants to keep us safe, but sometimes it keeps us small. And as we age, shrinking our lives out of fear doesn't protect us from regret. It often guarantees it. So, try that new thing, ask that question. Do the thing that scares you just a little, because that's often the very thing that will expand your world instead of shrinking it. You've already done the hardest part. You've lived. Don't let fear take control of your story now. Number 8, avoiding conversations about death, finances, and legacy. One of the most quietly harmful mistakes many seniors make is avoiding the big, uncomfortable conversations, especially about death, money, and what happens after they're gone. These topics can feel heavy or even frightening, but avoiding them doesn't make them go away. It only leaves confusion, stress, and sometimes conflict for the people you love the most. Many older adults think, "I don't want to be a burden," or "there's plenty of time." But the truth is, preparing for the end of life isn't morbid. It's an act of love. It's about taking care of your family one last time, leaving them with clarity instead of chaos and peace instead of questions. That means making sure your will is up to date, having honest discussions about where important documents are kept, and making clear decisions about your healthcare wishes. It also means choosing who will handle things if you're unable to. These aren't just legal matters, they are emotional gifts. They are ways of saying, "I cared enough about you to make this easier." Take Louise, for example. She's 84 and had always avoided talking about money and end-of-life care with her children, brushing it off with, "Oh, don't worry about all that." But when a sudden stroke left her unable to speak, her family was left scrambling. No one knew what she wanted, and decisions had to be made in a fog of grief and stress. While they did their best, Louise's silence created more pain than peace. On the other hand, Leonard, 79, sat down one weekend and went through everything with his 2 sons. Not just the paperwork, but his thoughts, his wishes, and even his funeral song. It wasn't an easy conversation, but it brought them closer. They laughed, they cried, and when Leonard passed away 2 years later, his family knew exactly what to do. They mourned with certainty, not confusion. Having these conversations doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're taking control. It shows that you're living intentionally, even in planning for the end. And perhaps most importantly, it gives you the opportunity to define your legacy, not just through money or property, but through your values, stories, and clarity. You've lived a full life, and you've earned the right to shape how it's honored, remembered, and carried forward. Don't leave that to chance. Speak your wishes, write them down, and have the courage to approach the final chapter with the same wisdom you've applied throughout your life. That, more than anything, is a gift your loved ones will never forget. As we wrap up this video, take a moment to reflect on the 8 common but often overlooked mistakes we've discussed. Which one resonated with you the most? Have you noticed any of these patterns showing up in your own life, or perhaps in someone close to you? Growing older isn't about avoiding every mistake. It's about recognizing where we have the power to change, grow, and make our remaining years not just longer but richer, more meaningful, and more connected. These insights weren't shared to scare or shame you, but to remind you that it's never too late to make a change. Even small adjustments today can bring enormous rewards tomorrow. So, I invite you to take just one of these lessons and put it into action this week. Maybe it's calling an old friend, scheduling that checkup, or writing down your wishes. You don't have to do it all at once. Just begin. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so please don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs and inspires you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.